Good morning and half a day. The Committee on General Government Operation and Appropriations is now called to order. The time now is 9 o'clock. In compliance with open government law, the notice for this public hearing were posted on Gov Guam Public Notice Portal, GTA TV Channel 21, Docomo Channel 117, and live stream on the Guam Legislature YouTube, and disseminated via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets on Wednesday, June 5th and on June 10th. Reminder, today is June 13, lucky number 13 for the fire department. But it's nothing new. You're always responding to disasters, so it works out. The following agenda this morning is on the budget. On the budget hearing is Bill number 236-37, COR, Committee on Rules by request of I Magaʹhågan Guåhan, the Governor of Guam, in accordance with the Organic Act of Guam. An act making appropriation for the operation of the executive branch of the Governor of Guam for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, making other appropriations and establishing miscellaneous and administrative provisions relative to the Guam Fire Department. At this time, I ask the members of the Guam Fire Department to rise and be placed under oath by the Sergeant Arms.
Please raise your right hand. Under penalty of perjury, do you all affirm that any and all information you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Chair, under oath, you may proceed. Thank you very much. The rules of conduct during this budget hearing are: please provide my legislative staff with any document for photocopying and distribution. Panel members are asked to remain in the room for question or for additional testimony as may be desired by members of the committee. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda, which is specifically the Guam Fire Department's budget. Personal inference as to the character or the motive of any senator or any individuals testifying is not permitted. Any violation of the general rule of conduct will result in removal from the budget hearing. And I expect the panel members, if you feel there are misconduct by my colleagues, please identify it so that I can recognize it also and we'll have them removed. No different as any other panel members to be removed or any members present, okay? Proper form and decorum shall be practiced by all present in the public hearing room for these proceedings. Individuals who fail to maintain proper form and decorum will be restricted from participating or will be removed from the room. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and that you speak into the microphone. Please state your name and your title for the record. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues that have joined me. I have Senator Will Parkinson, who's the Oversight Chair for the Guam Fire Department, and I have Senator Tom Fisher. I would ask now the panel members of the Guam Fire Department to present their budget. And we'll begin with the chief, and please recognize, identify who you're with. And then panel members, once you speak, you state your name, and that'll be one time only. You need to do that. Then you just continue speaking. It's up to the members now, my colleagues, to remember your name. Not for you to having to repeat your name, unless they ask. Okay? Thank you. Chief, it's on you, whichever's chief. Go ahead, Primo.
Buenas, Zanhafade, Senator San Agustin, and members of the Committee on General Government Operations, Appropriations, and Housing. I am Acting Fire Chief Joey Manabusan. Before beginning, I would like to introduce our leadership team who are sitting on this panel. We'll start from my far right. Chief Ed Artero, Chief Joe Tatautau, Chief Michael Kanko, and to my left is Chief Ron Castro, Captain Kevin Riley, and Lieutenant Angel Lagas. Again, thank you for the opportunity to present the Guam Fire Department's fiscal year 2024 proposed budget. Before presenting to you GFD's fiscal year 2024 requests, I would like to provide you with the setting of my testimony through an overview of our direction, challenges, highlights, and accomplishments that should bring you an understanding of the professional services that the Guam Fire Department, its administrative and support staff, and our emergency medical dispatchers provide to our island community. My guidance continues to remain that we meet our mission mandates, ensure that our staff is led, trained, equipped, and paid, as well as increasing our efficiency and capabilities while decreasing expenditures. Finally, to seek revenue enhancement through cost recovery and eligible grants. The mission of the Guam Fire Department is to mitigate threats of life, property, and the environment through education, prevention, and effective response to fire, medical, and environmental emergencies. The Guam Fire Department is mandated to provide the overall fire protection, fire prevention, fire suppression and extinguishment, and the protection of life and property connected therewith, requiring a comprehensive administration of an emergency medical services program to include a wildland firefighting capability for the territory of Guam. The Guam Fire Department provides for and administers an extensive program of fire prevention inspections, public fire safety and education and training, international fire code enforcement, fire investigations, and review of plans for new and existing building construction. Additionally, GFD operates and manages the Enhanced Emergency 911 communication system and a wide land and open water search and rescue program. With Homeland Security and War on Terrorism initiatives, the Guam Fire Department continues to provide a comprehensive hazardous materials response team, an advanced life support program, a paramedic program, as well as rapid intervention team. We accomplish our mission by promoting safety and maintaining a well-equipped, highly trained, and motivated force of professional firefighters, EMT, rescue personnel, emergency medical dispatchers, and promoting fire prevention and other public safety education programs. Our goals and objectives are as follows: maintain timely, effective, and quality medical responses to all calls for assistance to the island community, which will be accomplished by maintaining the mandate requiring all firefighters to be emergency medical technicians. Continue the development of our training program so that all firefighters acquire National Registered Emergency Medical Technician and Fire Service Pro Board certification as fire service professionals to any type of emergencies. Continue and expand GFD's paramedic program, growing the current emergency medical dispatcher certification requirements by adding the emergency medical responder certification for our E911 personnel. Continue our public safety education and life safety programs aimed at the youth within our communities that bring awareness and education that could potentially assist our youth in recognizing the need to call for medical or fire services. Grow the self-inspection program for qualified small businesses in the community to meet the demands of fire code inspections. Continue our smoke detector public safety education and life safety programs, and implement a confidence testing program for fire protection systems. Host continued discussions with our first response partners to hold a multi-agency response exercise with both local and federal partners to enhance relationships as well as enhance our overall ability to respond to any crisis. Continue to train and equip our hazardous materials response team and work closely with the Guam Environmental Protection Agency and Office of Homeland Security Office of Civil Defense to equip against any type of hazardous situation which may pose a threat to the island and its community. Continue the procurement and purchase of much-needed emergency response vehicles and equipment to replace our aging fleet. Acquire a maintenance facility for the GFD Fleet Maintenance and Repair Section. Increase public safety community outreach programs in an effort to educate our communities regarding fire safety while fostering stronger community relations in our villages and business communities. Continue to pursue financial avenues or partnerships to build a GFD headquarters, GFD training facility, and a next-gen 911 center. These goals and objectives continue to experience ongoing challenges such as retirements, extended military deployments, and medical profiles. Despite these challenges, we remain a department that is task, purpose-driven, and mission-focused. However, these absences within our department will continue to challenge our ability to meet NFPA and OSHA standards, specifically the 2-in, 2-out rule, which determines our minimum manning standard. In line with the Governor and Lieutenant Governor's commitment to our island's safety, we continue to work with the administration and this body to address the hiring of additional firefighters. During fiscal year 2022, we graduated 33 fire recruits, a much-needed addition to our ranks. However, despite their addition, since we've had 38 of our personnel retire or resign, and we are tracking an additional 4 more by the end of this year. As a result, we anticipate overtime expenditures increasing in order to maintain daily minimum standards. Despite the attrition rate we're experiencing, the challenges it poses, we continue to ensure that we achieve the mission of our department. We have deployed our new next generation 911, which replaces our antiquated legacy 911 system. This puts the most modern technology and equipment in the hands of our professional emergency medical dispatchers so they can provide an even more effective call and dispatching service to our responders and the community. This system also includes a management information system that will monitor all types of suppression, EMS rescue, fire prevention, and investigation responses, and will provide valuable statistics. In coordination with GCC, Department of Labor, and the School of EMS, our first paramedic course was completed with 15 firefighters nationally certified as paramedics. We recently commenced the second paramedic course with 33 firefighters currently enrolled. Additionally, we have completed promotions of 27 fire personnel to critically needed supervisory ranks. We continue to equip our responders with the latest in hazmat response equipment and extrication tools. We procured 2 structural fire pumpers that recently arrived on island in April and are currently deployed to 2 fire stations. We established a fully functional drone operations program that will tremendously assist in our rescue operations. Lastly, our community partnerships and volunteering of GFD members has resulted in the renovation, repairs, and painting of various fire stations around the island, along with numerous charity drives, cleaning and painting of school bus stops, and donations of school supplies and equipment. We continue the process of procuring required supplies and equipment that will assist in the full implementation of our paramedic initiative. We continue to work with GURA and the Department of Public Works to build the new Sanahaña Fire Station, as well as an ongoing search in coordination with GIDA to secure alternate funding via interested business investors to relocate and build a new Tumuning Fire Station. Through federal grants, we have begun the process to procure wildland fire PPEs, the installation of shutters at various fire stations, acquisition of a drone mobile command post and auxiliary viewing station, and the procurement of 5 ambulances. GFD continues to meet with GPD on building a rescue station in Tumon. Lastly, GFD continues to work with DOA with the creation of the EMT and fire inspector positions. To demonstrate our efforts towards revenue enhancement, we have conducted an analysis on the appropriate fees and fines updates needed to recover the costs of providing services and lessen our dependence on the general fund. In fire prevention, our fees and fines are antiquated and far below the industry standard for communities and economies of our scale. For example, it costs $35 to conduct an inspection of a small store, while it costs the same amount to inspect any one of our Tumon hotels. In emergency medical services, we charge less than 25% of the allowable reimbursable costs of Medicaid/Medicare. For our fire suppression responses, we are nowhere near the industry standard. Finally, we intend on meeting with the PUC to seek an increase from the current E911 surcharge. To this end, I already recommended fees and fine schedule update, and I am ready to present to this body to create legislation and implement as soon as possible. The Guam Fire Department is an all-hazards response career organization that consists of the following: the Office of the Fire Chief, Administrative and Support Services Bureau, EMS Rescue Operations Bureau, Fire Suppression Bureau, Training Bureau, Fire Prevention Bureau, and the E911 Communications Bureau. The Guam Fire Department is just requesting the total amount of $43,426,568 for fiscal year 2025, which reflects an increase of $3,324,519 or 8.29% from our authorized level for fiscal year 2024 from all funding sources. GFD's fiscal year 2025 proposed budget from general fund reflects an increase of $3,550,431 or 9.62% from our FY 2024 authorized level. Proposed budget from this funding source will address personnel services as well as for office space rental and utilities and other operational needs. GFD's FY 2025 proposed budget from E911 surcharge fund reflects a decrease of $48,150 or negative 2.28% when compared to the authorized level for FY 2024. GFD's proposed budget from this funding source includes funding to adequately address personnel services as well as operations to effectively and efficiently operate the E911 Center. This budget, however, does not address the yearly maintenance costs for the NG 911 system of approximately $2.7 million. GFD's FY 2025 proposed budget from the Flame Fund reflects a decrease of $177,762, or negative 16.51%, when compared to authorized levels for FY 24. Funding being requested from this funding source will address the Guam Fire Department's annual requirements for contractual services, supplies and materials, equipment and capital outlay categories, and equipment outlay categories. It does not, however, address funding for the much-needed maintenance, repairs, or renovations of fire rescue stations. This concludes our presentation. I would like to assure you that GFD's proposed FY 2025 budget will provide the adequate funding necessary to sustain our current progress in maintaining and/or improving our level of public service. The Guam Fire Department is deeply committed to meeting our island's expectations and to continue to provide the professionalism, dedication, and high-quality services that our island communities have come to expect and deserve. I am personally committed to work with each one of you to ensure the needs of our island are addressed within the realm of the fire service and public safety. Thank you again for allowing me this opportunity, and we look forward to your questions and recommendations.
Thank you, Chief. I've just got a few questions, very simple. On one of your slides, vacancy report, how many of those positions have been vacant for over 2 years? Haven't been filled? Because anything you can't fill in 2 years, then you don't need it. I mean, I'm assuming a lot of stuff, and 2 years is a long time. Can't be that hard to find people. I mean, I can understand it. It's kind of rough on the recruitment basis to get people to qualify, to get the funding to fill it, but as I'm looking at it, Chief Anchenko, fire chief, no fire chief yet? Something missing here. You know, the guy in charge, right? I just go down fire specialist, you know, just going down the list of your vacancies, I'm like, and you mentioned you did some promotion, move your guys up so you can fill those positions. You know, that's what I'm looking at. And I go down further, everything is 111 except for emergency medical dispatcher 5. So I'm just curious, Chief, go ahead and explain. Make it look easy, okay? I support the fire department. Let me make that very clear. I support the fire department. They've responded. I was a victim. And I know how hard it is. I know how hard the work is. Yes, and I was employed during your time, Chief, when we were in DPS. So I understand where the fire departments come from. I'm in full support of you guys. I just wanted to get some answers cleared. And then I'm going to ask a question also about your employment side.
Yes, Assistant Fire Chief Michael Nkanko. Approximately 30% of those vacancies are over 2 years in itself.
So how do you justify you still need it if you can't fill it?
Pardon me?
How do you justify you still need it but you can't fill it? I'm trying to understand. I mean, what is the real problem?
We're slowly filling it based on the public law that allowed us 20 positions per fiscal year or fire cycle in a fiscal year.
And with this budget you're requesting, you would be able to do it as long as they free up, BVMR allows you and DOA allows you to recruit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then that's a good answer.
Yes, sir.
My next one is, you know how the Navy Fire Department, military fire department, right, does their work? If you're in the Guard or Reserve, they declare you essential. How does the fire department feel on that? Because that's a second employment. And I'm not against the military, okay? I'm retired military. But my only concern is that if the Navy, the federal fire department says, you're a fireman, you're in the Guard or Reserve, you're considered critical, they basically discharge you from the Guard and Reserve. And the reason why I know that is because I was in the Guard and we were, unfortunately, discharging folks from the Guard and even in the Reserve. And I'm just wondering how that, you know, that causes issues with you guys because how many folks are in the Guard or Reserve that are employed by the fire department? Chief, maybe you can answer that.
Oh, I don't have that information.
Would we say 10 or 20% of your force?
Yes, approximately 20%.
Okay, and the reason why I ask that is because on many occasions, you know, your captain, you folks are suffering because you end up adding people, you know, not because of vacancy, is you're trying to backfill when the folks got to get deployed. And what bothers me is that, and I did this when I was on the board of Department of Education, is that I advised the departments that if somebody applies for a job and they're not in the Guard and Reserve, then that's second employment, and you guys have to agree that. You know, when somebody joins the fire department, and later on they say, hey, you know what, I joined the Guard, and I'm going to do it because that's second employment. You guys got to prove that. But if they come in and is recruited as a Guard member or Reserve member, you don't have a choice, because if you accept them, then that's something you just, beat it up on your own back. But I'm only concerned about the shortage thing. You know, in certain times, I know the Guard deploys, sometimes takes them for a year or more, and the fire department is short, just like the police, just like any other agency. And I'm just concerned about how do you guys work with that, because, let's hypothetically say you get a budget approval, $43 million. You start hiring folks, but then 20% of your force is gone every 6 months. And I know the chief is probably like, we got to figure this out, because he's also in the Guard or Reserve. So I just want to make sure that it works. Huh?
Chief Agustin, I'm retired.
Okay. See, so thank God for that, he's retired. But I know you folks understand where I'm coming from, because I know that you have some staff that are probably in the Guard and Reserve, and nothing against them. We serve our country and we move on. But I'm only concerned about the impact of the safety and your response to folks. Because you end up grabbing from other stations just to meet their concerns, when your station should have had the manpower to do it, unless the fire's out of control. So I'm just wondering, is the fire department going to try to figure out how to work around that? And because on many occasions, I know that you probably lose people to the Navy Fire Department. Hopefully not, because you guys, I think, are...
Well, one of the reasons, this all started like probably 20, 30 years ago.
That's correct.
Yes. And USERRA was a very big part of all this in terms of interpretation of what we can or cannot do. The government of Guam as a whole cannot prohibit an employee from entering or being recruited by the Guard or Reserve.
No, the government does not. I'm an ESGR supporter also, very strong supporter. The ESGR protects you if you're an employee and your employer accepted you. That's the beginning. It's when you're a recruit. They come and they apply for a job. They didn't join the Guard yet. They go to your training. Then all of a sudden, the chief looks at this and he's just finally getting in the Guard. That's a different story. That's second employment. That's where ESGR will not defend that person. Because number one, once they accept that position in the Guard, and the department doesn't say anything, then you absorb the loss. That's automatic. Then ESGR will say, you cannot deny them that. I know you come from, Chief. 20, 30 years ago, ESGR made a big stink. But there's also a rule that after 5 years, if they're on active duty, you got to release them. They either come back to work or they got to resign. It's only two things they can do. And many of them have rolled out that active duty program for the 5 years, but maintaining continuity of their retirement benefits being paid and everything. And I'm just concerned is that, are you guys going to try to figure out something? I know the chief knows where I'm coming from. I'm in support, okay, of the men if they're in the Guard and Reserve prior to service. And if you guys accept them, then that should never be an issue in the future to say, well, we lost people to Guard and duty. No. You allow them to go.
Well, what we'll do, we'll get further clarification from DOA. They basically guide us in terms of hiring, and allowing part-time employees or part-time employment in itself. But we really need to sit down with DOA and discuss that. Some of the issues we're having now is that, just like for recruitment purposes, at times we delay the recruitment because people that are in the Guard are scheduled to be tested for the recruit position, so we have to wait for those people to undergo testing.
Why are you waiting for them? If you got a group of folks that are going to get hired, move on.
Well, that's DOA's rules.
Well, you need to tell DOA. DOA doesn't run the fire department. You guys do.
Yes.
You guys are the backbone, okay? And I look at it that way. DOA should not dictate to you how you run the fire department. Because the last time I checked, the fire department employs firemen, okay? Folk for the fire department. DOA doesn't do that. DOE should not dictate to you when you can start your cycle. Only tell you there's money available. Your GG1 is processed, the recruitment is moving. Run your cycle, because maybe today you run 15 or 10, then maybe next month you run another, and continuously keep moving, because you need to fill your vacancies. And I'm in full support of that. Because I hate to see an accident or a fire and you don't have enough people. That's the worst thing that will happen. And you mentioned the safety, okay, for folks, the saving of lives and property. So Chief, tell DOA that's not, their job is not to tell you when, you run the cycle when you guys plan it. And the legislature has no business telling you when to run it. All I'm going to say is, do it, por favor. Hire people. If you got the authorization for funding, then just do it. We're here to back you folks. We're not here to tear you guys down. Tearing you down is people that do that in the public. They have nothing to do. Time but to tinker on small things. We look at the big picture, the island of Guam. Are we good with that, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
thank you.
Senator, if I could just say one thing. So I'm not expert on hiring or recruitment by any means, but Fed Fire is actually allowed, just to clarify, Fed Fire is allowed to have their members in the Guard and Reserve. They lost that case a few years ago.
Okay, they lost the case, right? To claim them critical?
That they can't have their members involved in Guard and Reserve, which they are actually.
But
secondly, I don't believe we wait for people in school or on orders to return to the island to start cycles. We start the cycle, they are actually able to catch up or to come out later. Just to clarify, and I can get you all the information on that at a later time.
I just wanted to make it clear that you guys run the fire department. Nobody else does. The legislature doesn't, the DOA doesn't, you guys do. And you guys do a great job. You just need to be given an opportunity to flex to do your job. And I think that's what you're asking here in this budget. The next one I was concerned about was the revenue enhancement. Fire prevention fees and fines. You guys do the AAA, right, to raise the fees and fines?
Yes, sir, we will go through that process.
Okay.
Any further questions regarding the fees and fines? It is currently being worked on. We actually do have a draft copy with comparisons. And if you have any further questions, Chief Ron Castro, who is our Fire Prevention Bureau Chief, is ready to answer any questions regarding the fees and fines.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to leave that to the oversight chair to help you get your fees updated, because I agree with you. I heard that $35 for a small store and then $35 for the hotel. Por favor, that should be in the hundreds or $200. There's many floors you have to check, versus stores only one, maybe 2 or 3 rooms, storage room and stuff like that. But please change it. Find a way, figure it out, AAA. I will back you on that one. If this doesn't make sense. Ambulance fees. Are your fees equal to the same the private companies are charging, or are you less? I'm just curious about that part. And the only reason why I ask is because normally ambulance fees should be paid by insurance, no? If they're under insurance, and if not, then I understand. But if the private companies are charging a rate that's higher than yours, you should be competitive, because, people pull over when they see an ambulance coming from Guam Fire Department. They're not quick to pull over for a private company. They do respond, but they're faster when they see the red and white. So I'm just curious.
Chief Agustin, I cannot speak specifically for the private companies, but I can say that economies of scale, similar to Guam, we do charge less, and we're undercharging.
Then I guess
than similar communities throughout the nation.
So let's come up with a fee that's appropriate.
We have come up with a recommended fee schedule for that.
Okay, okay, and I'll be eager to see what the fee will be. And then the rest of it, I don't have any other question marks here. Yep, and that's about it. Thank you, Chief. Senator Parkinson. Oh, I'd like to also recognize Senator Brown has joined us, and my colleagues. I did recognize the other two. But Senator Parkinson, do you have any questions for the panel, or?
No, Mr. Chair, you hit all my questions, so I appreciate that.
All right. Senator Fisher, do you have any questions for the panel?
Just a few, sir. Thank you very much. And gentlemen, thank you for being here. It's good morning. I was reading the letter that I think, yeah, Chief Manabusan, I think you wrote it. You referenced something called two-in, two-out rule. Could you explain that?
Basically, if you have two firefighters that are in a, let's say, a burning structure, you must have two firefighters outside on standby. Okay. So at a minimum, anytime there's a response, you need a minimum of 4 responders, not including the OIC.
Okay, and that is, when you say responder, that is when you get a
firefighters.
call. Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like, are you having trouble meeting the two-in, two-out rule?
Well, the challenge that we face is the overtime and the cost. However, we do provide for that, and that's the only thing about it is paying for it.
Is there any penalty if you do not meet the two-in, two-out rule?
There's a lot of liability, not just for the fire department, but for our entire government. If anything goes wrong and we're not following standards and something bad happens, God forbid, there are serious consequences for all of us to pay.
Okay. So I'm not real clear. Today, are you able to meet the rule?
Yes, sir. We satisfy that rule with overtime.
Okay. All right. Which kind of brings me to my next question, and it's the next paragraph. You said that in fiscal year 2022, you graduated 33 fire recruits, but you've lost 38 of your personnel to retirement or resignation, and you're on track to lose 4 more, which makes 42. So it looks like you're down about 9 fire recruits?
Yes, sir. It's a constant battle. We gain, we lose, gain, we lose.
Sure.
Right now, we're going through a major retirement. We're facing retirements. A lot of the folks that did join, and with the new law that allows our firefighters to retire at 25 years, provided they're at least 55 years old, we are now facing a lot of retirements with that. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, over and above the 4 that you're tracking?
No, we're tracking the retirements. I'm just mentioning that we're seeing retirements coming. We have an aged fire service. The average age has went up. Of course, we're being replaced with a lot of younger ones, but we still have a lot of our old timers that are now contemplating and considering retirement.
Okay. Because in my experience anyway, the people really want to work for the Guam Fire Department. It's considered a very good career and a good way to, make a living and raise a family. Are you experiencing any trouble getting qualified recruits?
Sir, we have no problems recruiting. Like you mentioned, there are a lot of folks out there that want to join the fire department.
Yeah.
There's no problems recruiting. We put out a notice for openings. We'll have like upwards of 2,000 folks apply. Out of those 2,000 people, you got to score high on the written exam. That's where you knock down those numbers. And then after the physical agility test, that's where more numbers will knock down. By the time everything's all said and done, we'll be down to probably about a little bit over 100 to 200 to consider for a fire cycle. So, but we have no problems recruiting like the other public safety agencies.
Well, to the extent that you're going to have vacancies, is that because of money? Or, I mean, so many people want to be in the fire department, and recruiting is not a problem, yet there are some vacancies. Could you explain why that is?
Yeah, let me explain first in regards to recruitment. We are in the process right now of recruiting 30 fire recruits. That has started, and that was authorized in the FY24 budget. In our proposed budget, we're requesting an additional 20 personnel, and that again is figured into our budget, our proposed budget in itself. Just to clarify, we see 48, negative 48 in terms of number of hirees versus retirees, but that will be made up within this fiscal year and next fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you for that. And then I'm just going to jump around a little bit. I was interested when Senator Joe was talking about the ambulance fees and whether or not there's parity between the private providers and GPD. And there's not. Or you're not aware that there is parity. And Senator Joe observed that ambulance fees hopefully are taken care of by insurance. For the uninsured, which I'm sure that you provide a lot of services to the uninsured individuals, how does the fire department recover the fee?
Well, we have a biller that handles ambulance billings in itself. However, based on collectibles, there's approximately, we are only able to collect 40% of the total bills in itself. And that, of course, is those that are on self-pay, but we have no authority to collect from them like GMH does, where you garnish your tax returns and things like that. All we do, or our billers do, is provide constant notification that they're delinquent in their bills.
So you don't have a relationship with DRT so you can grab back the money from a potential tax return?
I hope we can, sir. We can work on that.
I'm sorry?
I hope we can in itself. But right now, those are basically non-collectibles.
Right.
Now, in regards to Medicare also, not everyone that's Medicare is allowed or basically given that privilege of ambulance fees, providing them, because it all depends on medical necessity. That's how Medicare determines whether you're eligible to, whether your ambulance transport is eligible to be paid for.
Okay. Sir, has the fire department, do you have an estimate of how much, or how much is owed to the fire department in ambulance fees unpaid?
I don't have that information to me at this point in time, sir.
Could you give an estimate, like the millions? Or?
Well, collectibles are approximately 700,000 total collectibles, and what comes in is normally about 500,000, so approximately 250,000 non-collectibles.
Okay. And that's essentially going to be a write-off, I would assume.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Now, I just want to add on, sir. The reason why private companies charge more is because there's no flat rate fee. In Guam, our fees are just strictly $195. We are collecting, we are losing out 25% below Medicare rates, allowable rates. Medicare can charge up to $400, $450 per response or per transport, whereby we are only allowed to charge a maximum of $195.
Okay.
And that's what we're working on right now, to adjust the rates.
Okay. Hang on just a minute. If I could, I'm just going to refer to the vacancy report. It just, either this is alarming or it's not. There is no E911 administrator. It's listed as vacant.
Right now, there's none, sir. We're trying to fill that position. We're trying to fill that position for the last, 10, 12 years.
Really?
However, we're working with DOE in amending the qualifications for it.
Okay. Well, that was going to be a follow-up. What makes that position so unattractive that for 12 years?
It's the requirements in itself. You must be an EMT for 5 years and continue to be an EMT for 5 years, currently EMT. You must be an EMD instructor, APCO certified EMD instructor, and serve approximately 5 years as an EMD.
Okay. Are you free to modify those conditions?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're working with DOE in regards to modifying that.
Okay.
One of the biggest obstacle is the must have 5 years experience as an EMT, the word experienced as an EMT. The only one that qualifies basically are firefighters.
It's the fact that we don't have an E911 administrator, does that in any way impede or interfere with your ability to do your work, your job?
No, not right now, because I myself, I had 911. I'm collaterally assigned to that position in itself. I'm the bureau chief. The administrator just serves basically as a person responsible to supervise the entire 911 system.
So the actual provision of the 911 service is not impacted?
Right? No, not at all, sir.
Okay, that's good to hear. And then the other question I had was in the vacancy report, you have emergency medical dispatchers. There are 16 filled position and 5 vacant. It looks like about 33% of the positions are empty. Well, not quite, 25%.
Yes, and that's due to current resignations.
Okay.
So we are in the process of recruiting those 5
Okay,
positions.
do you anticipate being able to fill those dispatcher positions?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
today they're unfilled. Does this in any way compromise your ability to provide emergency medical services?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Fisher. I'd like to also recognize Senator Canales joined us. You know, when he mentioned about retirement, I know that I'm looking at the whole panel, and I know you all qualify already, but por favor, hang around for another 4 or 5 years. Let's get the fire department fixed, okay? Chief, don't retire on me now, okay? I know you're old school. Senator Brown, do you have any questions for the panel, ma'am?
Fortunately, Mr. Chair, time waits for no one, not even us. I just wanted to ask, I mean, your increase with the administration, are you still concurrent with the increased request with the administration? You're looking at about $3 million more than this past fiscal year.
Yes, ma'am.
And is this more so just inherent cost of increments and things of that nature? And how about with regards to your fire equipment? How are you doing with that? How many current ambulances do you have that are operational?
Currently, we have 5 ambulances online that are
Okay.
working at this time.
That's not a phenomenal amount. How many do you have in your fleet?
We typically have 8 on average working, but you know, some things happen, and sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes up. But we try our best, and we have a very amazing maintenance folks that do wonderful things to.
Do you
keep them.
still do your own in-house maintenance on your vehicles and your
Yes, ma'am.
ambulances?
We do our own in-house, and if there's any more extensive repairs that need to be done, then we'll contract that out to an appropriate.
And
source.
what's the age of your ambulances now?
We have an age fleet. We have some that are really old and some that are. We have an aging fleet, ma'am.
Okay, I understand, but are they 5 years, 8 years, 10 years? What are the,
Anywhere from 4 years to like 8, 10 years.
and are there any plans to, procure additional ambulances so that we're not
Yes,
in
ma'am.
that situation?
That's an
Because 5 is not, I mean, historically, 5 is not enough.
Nope.
And so that concerns me. I mean, you might not even have your
We are currently awaiting parts that have been on order.
Yeah.
And as soon as those parts come in, we'll get them installed and get more
I
ambulances.
understand,
back
but
online.
even 8, I mean, we've been at this a while.
Yes,
Even
ma'am.
back then, 5 or 6 used to be
Yep.
critical in previous years, just having that many because of the,
Yes.
of course, you never know when you're going to get a call for assistance.
Yes, ma'am.
So are you looking right now, if there's anything in the works to procure additional ambulances so that you have reserve capacity? Because you've got to have more than 5 fire stations around the island.
We are procuring 5 more.
And what is your anticipated time frame, and how is it being paid for? Is it being paid through your budget, or do you have grants or other revenue
I will
sources?
refer that question to our admin bureau
It's
chief.
through ARP funding in itself.
Okay, so you've received how much for additional ambulances?
Received $885,000.
Okay, and you're going to be able to procure
5.
5 more?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you in the process of doing it now, or is
Yes,
it
ma'am.
GSA, or what's the timeline?
Well, we did our share. We processed the requisition and everything now. It's all on GSAs.
And who's following up? That tells me nothing.
Ma'am, we follow up daily.
And are all your documents submitted that you need and your requirements? Have you
All
met
documents have been submitted.
that? And if that moves forward, what's on average the anticipated time for, from the, I'm sure it's not an off-the-shelf item. What's the anticipated
Yeah.
time for?
Well, I'm quite sure that Chief, previous hearings that we held, GSA has recruitment problem at this point in time. I think, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah.
there's only one buyer or
Yeah,
two
nobody's
buyers
breaking the door down to work
running-
at GSA.
running the entire system. But we are patiently waiting. We've been pushing as well.
What's the,
as
you would,
well as
you would
all other
know,
government
what is the
agencies.
average time from the time you're through the door? How long does it take for an ambulance? If you've got the paperwork, it's processed, you got the check in hand, how long does it take on average to?
Well, the bidding process in itself, again, when the bid will be announced, normally it's announced after, on a normal day. It's normally announced within 3 weeks' time. But that, of course, I guess now is 3 months. But bidding's about 3 weeks before bids are open. Then delivery is probably 360 days.
Is that what you
240
put
days.
for your delivery time, a whole
Yes,
year? Does it take
240.
on average a whole year to procure an ambulance?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are your capabilities? I mean, do you have the ability to address anything beyond 2 or 3 stories?
Pardon me?
Do you have the capability of addressing anything beyond 2 or 3 stories?
3.
Are you referring to
Oh.
fires?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take that question.
Yes, thank you.
When it comes to fire protection, that is the reason why our Fire Prevention Bureau is critical to going out there and ensuring that the fire protection systems that are installed in facilities, such as standpipes, sprinklers, and any other type of fire protection systems, typically our fire trucks will arrive at a fire scene, hook up to these appliances, and they will supplement as if it's a high-rise unit. That's why it's critical that we the community maintains these fire protection systems. Our Fire Prevention Bureau is very active, and sometimes we're very strict with ensuring that these appliances and equipment work.
So where are you on an annual basis with regards to, I mean, not just the hotels in Tumon, but that's the main area where obviously we have the tallest buildings, but we have a few other office buildings and so forth that are a little higher. Are you on an annual basis inspecting all of these? Are you current with that, or?
We do our best to go out there and continue our fire inspections. We average about anywhere from 10 to 12 fire prevention officers. We man the one-stop center. Again, we do plan checking, fire investigations, public education. There are thousands of businesses that are out there. We do our best, and we'll continue to do our best.
You know what would be more helpful, and I understand that, I don't doubt that you are giving your very best, but it would be more helpful to say we have X amount of buildings that exceed a certain height standard. This fiscal year, we've inspected X amount of facilities. That would be helpful. Numbers are good. We're doing a budget, and I think that helps your argument to say, this is what we're able to do with this amount. If you want this done, Senator, well, we're going to need this amount to do it. That's what the budget hearings are for, and it would be helpful to do that so we have an idea, and you as well, and the public, of how many. Then you can tell me, we've inspected 80%,
Yes, ma'am.
we're at 90%, we're wherever, so that we can have a
And we
gauge
can
of-
provide that data for you if you do want it.
I think it
we
would
do
be helpful
maintain
to
data
provide
on
that.
our inspections. Chief Ron Castro is an excellent Fire Prevention Bureau chief, and everything is documented. Our records are documented, our inspections, our plan checking. So if any type of data that you request, we can get it to you.
It would be good to know, I mean, because
Yes, ma'am.
that's an area of vulnerability. I mean,
Yes.
we're not quite where we were prior to the pandemic with regards to our visitor industry, but
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, we just want to make sure that the opportunity and the accessibility
Mm-hmm.
is there if anyone needs help. So yeah, if you have that information or data, if you're keeping track of buildings that
we do
are
have it.
3 or 4 stories or beyond,
Yes.
and what's your annual inspection rate, it would be good to do that.
We have that data, and anytime there's any, we also do unannounced inspections. And basically what that entails is, I don't want to call it a surprise inspection, but when our inspections are all caught up, and even Chief Ron also details and assigns personnel to go out there and check existing occupancies.
Sure.
On top of that, the Department of Public Works also conducts similar inspections, and we basically use the same codes, the International Code Councils and accompanying codes, which comprises of the Building Code and the Fire Code. And Chapter 9 and 10 are basically identical chapters. So in essence, our fire inspectors are also building inspectors and vice versa. So we basically have a partnership with Department of Public Works.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, but, you know, also, I mean, I assume you're also inspecting
Yes, ma'am.
those locations where people gather. It could be
And-
the mall, it could be,
And
you
ma'am,
know.
to add to that, we also have a fire company inspection program. So our engine companies are also certified fire inspectors. So within their jurisdictions, they go out and assist us by conducting fire inspections as well. So we have a very active fire inspection and citation program. All of our company officers are also authorized to issue citations. So we have a very comprehensive inspection program out in our community.
I'm happy to hear that, because I'm sure the majority of your work is really making sure the fire doesn't happen in the first
Yes, ma'am.
place, and I appreciate that. How about with regards to inspecting the fire hydrants? Where are you with regards to that and the maintenance of these fire hydrants so that they're available, accessible? I'm sure you have to work with
Yes, ma'am.
GWA on that, but
We
where
work
are you
with Guam
that?
Waterworks on that, and if there's any issues, we do send a ticket for repairs to Guam Waterworks. Obviously, there are some fire hydrants that are out there that are not working, and they are tagged. Some of them are left still standing up, and Waterworks does have to remove them. But we do have a program with the fire chief's office, our water liaison officer, that we work closely with Guam Waterworks.
Do you know how many fire hydrants you have?
I don't have that data with me at this time, but we
Would
can.
be helpful to have
Yes.
that, yes? And then you can tell us, you know, some are obsolete, some are not maintained, whatever, what's on the repair list. It would, again, having that information readily available would be helpful for us to review.
Just recently, the Guam Waterworks has a GIS system in place that identifies every location for every hydrant that's out there. And every fire station has a copy of that software on their computer at the fire station.
And it's accessible to them.
Yes, ma'am, it's accessible to.
So you would be able to tell us at any time what's operational and what's not operational?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there
And,
any critical areas that you would want to make sure if it's not working? Who addresses that? Is it GWA that does the
It's
repair on the?
GWA, yes.
Okay, and who's following up with that from the Guam Fire Department?
Anytime any of our engine companies find a fire hydrant that's not working, it's reported to Guam Waterworks, and then on their end, they come out and repair it. Now, again, they have their funding and operations that handles those areas.
I wanted to ask, I see you have a very small amount for your drug testing of only $2,000. You have an employee listing over 212 classified employees. I know some of them are your administrative staff, but the bulk of your people are in designated positions. When was the last time you had a drug test for all your employees?
Well, we currently, if any of our firefighters get into a traffic accident or anything of that nature, that's a mandatory call for drug testing. Other than that, any type of funding or data regarding that, I would refer to Chief Nkanko.
Gosh, I can't remember when.
Yeah, that concerns me because,
it is within this fiscal year. We had random drug testing. We do it normally every fiscal year, 2 or 3 times. We have random drug testing in itself.
And then you're consistent with that every year?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure, because I don't think we can sidestep the reality that we have a major drug problem in this community. And of course, we want to ensure, I look at it more as a deterrent than to go, oh, we caught you. I mean, we want to make sure that our personnel, especially those of you that are in emergency response that we depend on, we rely on as a community, are geared and prepared to fulfill your obligations. I mean, I've been concerned listening as recent as last week to find another one of our Guam Police Department officers that have been caught with, on methamphetamines, and that's a sad reality. I'm sure those of you in your job are experiencing that out in the community when you're responding. I'm sure some of these cases that you're responding to as well for emergency to take them to the hospital deal with that reality, and we just want to make sure that our people in the government of Guam are standing upright and ensuring that they're not involved and engaged in anything that would limit their capabilities of performing their duties. I mean, when we were told a few months ago that we had 38 of our young men in this community in the prime time of their lives ended as a result of crystal meth, that is very concerning for themselves, for their family, and the loss of that. We had 3 women as well. It's a smaller percentage, but nevertheless, we're losing our people, at the prime time of their life when they have the most productive years to this scourge that our people are experiencing. So I definitely want to make sure that all our employees, particularly those of you in designated positions, are going through regular testing to be, hopefully discourage anyone from going down that path, because there's no gain for anybody there. I don't have any other questions. I appreciate you coming and providing your testimony, but I really would encourage you, if you have that data in your next presentation to the legislature, please have it available. It'll make it very easy to respond to questions. The data is there. You can simply say, this is where we are, senators. This is what, this funding will provide us. If you give us this funding, this is what we can do. I'm happy to hear that ARP funding, is going to a critical need of getting you new ambulances so that we're not short, because 5 or 6 ambulances on average, we know historically, and you know that, Chief Uncanco, over the years, that does not quite meet the requirements. If every fire station does not have an ambulance ready to go, then we're short. So I hope we get good news and it gets processed through GSA, and we look forward to having those ambulances arrive to serve our people. So thank you very much for your time as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Brown.
Thank you, Senator.
Simple question before I go to Senator Cananta. In the past, I made sure we put in the budget, you're allowed to go to federal GSA. Have the fire department ever considered that? I mean, it's not against our local market, but the cost to buy one ambulance in the federal GSA, my understanding, what I've seen is that you could buy 2 for the price you pay on Guam. And I'm just trying to figure out, I'm just wondering if the fire department has considered that, because I've asked the police, I've asked all law enforcement, but for both consider fund the federal GSA, because they got a parking lot of ambulance, and all they need is put your name, Guam Fire, and then it's yours. And that's just the concept on how they do that. I'm just wondering if you're considering it, and if you are going to consider it, then we'll make sure we put it in the budget to allow you to go that route. If Guam GSA is too slow, put for both, don't wait for the slow folks, move past them and move on. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, and maybe you might want to comment, are you willing to go that route if authorized? Yes?
I will refer this to our federal programs manager.
Absolutely, sir.
He has something to say. Go ahead, Captain Kevin.
Go ahead, from Zigu.
Hafa again, senators. So yes, we have explored the federal GSA program. Like you stated, dealing with the local vendors here. We always also run into problems with the specifications and maintenance. When you're looking at a federal program, where you have multiple vendors very close by, but if you have specialized equipment like what we use on a regular basis, where would we get our servicing from? And these are all the questions that we've been asking, because yes, we have looked into federal GSA, but it's mandatory for us again to use our local resources first. Secondly would be that maintenance contract. We can make a contract with the manufacturer, but how would we get the manufacturer to come on and service? Would we send, and this has been a true case where Hawaii needed something performed, and they said send the truck back to them so they can perform the maintenance. And that's gonna, in the long run, it's gonna cost us. That's why when we spec out our trucks and we purchase equipment, we also have the 5-year maintenance plan, not a warranty, but a maintenance plan. Once that maintenance plan, of course, not dealing with consumables, oil filters, tires, but we make sure all of those are included in our specs as well. So we will continue to explore that, but it is difficult compared to being stateside.
The reason why, well, as you mentioned that, then who's with your maintenance plan on Guam? You buy a shell, they put all the equipment in. Who's the local vendor?
So
I give you a good example. If you say Triple J, when they bring in the ambulance, they load it up. Then they do the maintenance, correct?
Correct.
Just an example. If you buy a Ford ambulance, or whatever brand it is, automatically the dealer becomes the maintenance folks. So I'm just trying to
yes
understand.
and no, because so let's say you purchase a Ford ambulance. The body, that's a Ford chassis. The body that's placed on it. So in our specs, we have the elimination of divided responsibility. And what that does is now you're the vendor, you take the responsibility of the chassis and the body. But that bodybuilder stateside, we don't have any local bodybuilders. So when you bring a Ford ambulance with, let's say, an American emergency vehicle with an AEV body on it, once you decide that that is your vendor and you put the two together, now you're responsible for the entire thing. instead of,
Okay,
hey,
so-
the engine, you know, if we have a light go out.
But Cap, go back now to if you buy it from Triple J, or Auto Spot, or wherever, Cars Plus, they're gonna put it together the same way you're gonna do it with the factory.
They don't build.
They don't build it in Guam. I know that, but I'm just saying.
But they have that deal with the bodybuilder, but the bodybuilder is not on island.
I mean, but you guys can get the same deal because if they're gonna end up charging you for the maintenance costs, then it's cheap. You buy the product, it's cheaper. Then you tell them, hey, we got the product. It was something that you could have provided, but you cost more. Can you just tell us what it costs for you to maintain? And they say, yes, we can do it. You're done. I mean, that's something to explore.
It's something to explore. It's something that we've looked at and will continue to look at. But it's a little more difficult than.
Just keep trying.
I'll keep trying.
Okay, and in reference to the fire hydrants, for my colleague, I know for a fact in Jigu, the fire hydrants, when they're not working, they're not painted, and if they are working, it's painted green. Correct? We're in the same village in Jigu. It's marked. And my understanding is that the fire captain at each of the stations go out and inspect the fire hydrants. I know that, like I said, I'm a victim of that, of a fire. And when that fire captain showed me, he told the guys, that one works, that don't work, this one works. He went down the line. I said, how did you know that, Cap? He said, because I do the inspections. He goes up with his team. They check those fire hydrants.
Yes, we check them, we service them, we maintain them, we cut the grass around them. But just to clarify, the hydrants are not owned by the Guam Fire Department.
I know.
They're waterworks hydrants. And when there's an issue with them, we will submit, like Chief said, we'll submit a ticket and ask for them to be repaired, replaced.
Okay, then maybe what we need to do is ask GWA to go cut the grass because the fire department, I mean, you inspect it, you green light it, but I don't expect you to be going cutting grass around the fire hydrant. I expect if GWA, if you own the equipment, then maintain it. Let the fire department say it's good and paint the green or blue or whatever color. But GWA should be the one doing it. No different than GPA.
For our safety, we've been doing this for a long time, and for our safety, we want to make sure.
Yes, no, you guys do a great job. Senator Canales, do you have any questions for the panel? Go for it.
Hopefully, guys, thank you guys for always running into the places everybody's running out of. I know that takes a lot of courage, and you guys put a lot of, your personal lives at risk and your families. Thank you to the families also that support you guys, because you guys cannot do it alone, right? So I know we've received a couple of notices regarding 911 system not being operational. What happened, and where are we with that? Or what is our status on preventing that from happening again? I understand it's operational right now, but I know that we did have earlier incidents. Yes, sir.
Before he speaks, we got to make sure he's sworn in. Sergeant Arms, if you can swear in the gentleman. That may be a fire hazard, because when you're getting the fire, you don't have the beard. But I understand.
Raise your right hand. Under penalty of perjury, do you affirm that any and all information you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Proceed.
Thank you, Sergeant of Arms.
Okay, sorry, what was that question again, sir?
Earlier, or a while back, we had some incidents with 911 system not being operational, right? We were sent notices. What was the issue, and where are we with it now? Do we have a preventive plan so that it doesn't happen again? I understand technical issues happen, but technical issues with life and death is always a highlight for us, because we want to make sure we don't have any of that. We don't want to have that happen anymore, right? So I thought onlining 911, isn't this the next gen system?
Yes.
Already? So how do we prevent it from happening?
Hafide, my name is Paul Linsky. I'm an emergency medical dispatcher with the Guam Fire Department. And getting back to that incident that occurred, which was, I think, about a month or 2 months ago, they were updating the system, and the update happened stateside time. As you know, stateside time and Guam time are two totally different. So what they did was they started the update of the 911 system at 0900 Guam time, which was around maybe 4 p.m. in San Diego, something like that. Everything was going well, and the update was successful. However, it was a mere security password that they failed or forgot to type in, which caused the system to go down. So we know that, and at the time that they were trying to figure it out, the system, the 911 system, detected a possible intrusion. So we know for sure that the cybersecurity system for our NG 911 is doing its job. It locked it out. All it needed was the right password to be put in, and the system went back with no issues after that. So in the future, we've now scheduled updates and service updates to be not in the morning where it's at the heat of the 911 calls, and to do it during the graveyard shift, which is anywhere between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
I guess non-peak hours?
Non-peak hours, definitely,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So is this something that's going to be happening every quarter or every midterm, or what is the update frequency?
With our next-gen system that we have now, we're scheduled to get at least 2 updates a year.
Okay, thank you. So the 911 system, are you guys synchronized with GPD yet, or is GPD doing their own system, or what's the status? Because I know when we put it online, it wasn't integrated with them.
So the Guam Police Department is deciding to just hang on until they're complete with their land mobile radio system, which is ongoing right now. Once they're completed, they selected a vendor and they start the build out. Then they bring down 10 dispatch workstations down to the 911 center, and then they move forward with coming down. So hopefully within the 18 months to, I think, it's 2 years that the time's given on the LMR RFP, they will be down.
Okay, thank you. For your counselor, do you guys have counselors for your 911 operators?
Counselors?
Yeah.
I
know you guys have counselors for yourselves, right? Or what is it?
Sir,
like when
are
you guys
you
have a
referring
tough
to,
call
like,
or
psychological
Yes,
counselors?
Yes.
We use Guam Behavioral Wellness and Health. Yes.
Okay. Another one is, do you feel that IPOS system is something that should be integrated on Guam?
IPOS system?
Similar like to Bolos, be on the lookout for like this kid that's been kidnapped, quote unquote.
Like the Amber Alert?
Yes, Amber Alert system. In the States, unfortunately, when you upgrade a SIM card into your phone, it's happened to me a couple of times where just because I've gotten a regular SIM card, it doesn't have any special notation to it. But automatically when you get out and you put the SIM card into your phone, you get like notice, be on the lookout for this car that's been possible kidnapping, or be advised there's an active shooter in this vicinity. And it just sends out an advisory to the general public immediately just through the 911 system. So I know that other areas are using it. So do you think that's something that can be used here?
Sure, that'd be great, but I don't know if it's truly going to come from the 911 system rather than coming from Joint Information Center or even from the local exchange carriers that have that service. We don't control what media gets sent out via your cell phone or your internet, only because we're Next Gen 911. We can help, sure, we can do that, but it's just that's something that maybe we need to look into or delve into.
Senator, if you want to provide us some of that information, we'll take a look at it, see if it's something that's within our control, and if not, maybe it might be legislation that you may want to introduce.
Certainly. I understand that it wasn't the best situation, but in Hawaii, when there was a potential missile threat coming, and they sent out the message. I mean, that's not the best case scenario, but it's worked pretty positively in other areas and jurisdictions. So I know Homeland Security might probably be someone to link with you guys, and we'll have discussions on that. I know we're neighbors. You guys are like six floors with me. So I'll contact you guys regarding that. Illegal dump sites and junkyard hazardous material. Is there any update on those findings of those people, and what do you guys recommend we do with these people that have these illegal junkyard operations?
That's a community concern that I personally believe that all members of their community are at stake, and we should all get together and come up with some kind of solution together as a team. Personally, I feel they should be given severe punishment, but then again, that's something that, again, we need to work out together as a community.
Thank you. Who oversees permitting process here?
Which types of permits? There's various permits.
The one at DPW, the one-stop center.
Okay, the Guam Fire Department is part of the permitting system, but ultimately, depending on the permits, Department of Public Works will issue the final permit. Now, when they do have an actual occupancy permit that's went through all the different agencies, the fire department issues what we call an operational permit that is layered on top of your regular permit. So there is a permit to maybe, let's say, open up a building and allow the public to come in. But when you're going to do a special operation that's covered within the fire code, then the fire department will be issuing that particular permit. So there are some operations that have multiple permits, and depending on the type of permit, would determine the agency that would be issuing that type of permit. To give you more specific answers, you need to ask specifically what type of permit.
Okay, so do you guys have any impediments with permitting up at DPW, one-stop center? Any issues that you guys need to address or?
We work pretty closely together with DPW.
Okay, thank you then. Who runs your website?
Mr. Paul Orlinsky is our website manager.
We do.
Okay, so it's internally operated?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to clarify. Do you guys have any update regarding the Sinahanya fire station?
I don't believe that's on our website, sir, but I could put it there if I get the information.
I will refer that question to Chief Nkanko.
Which one? Oh.
They're
The
asking
Sinahanya
about the
fire station,
Sinahanya
sir.
fire station.
We're in the process right now of moving forward with that. Public Works is now handling the project in itself. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last got was we're supposed to send the plans down so we can have them copied, then send to back to Public Works. But Public Works has taken control of that project in itself. It used to be GURA, but now it is Public Works.
Okay, one last question. I know we're trying to get a cycle going, but honestly, we kind of have a cycle back to back. It's not going to be conducive to the next senators or the next generation of leadership, and also yourselves, right? If we have cycles back to back, we're all going to have the same situation. So do you guys think having this cycle happen back to back is going to be a good idea, or is it a bad idea? Because we're going to come to the point where we have 60 people retiring again, right? Obviously, you guys are all retiring because you guys are all the same age bracket and cycle probably, right? So having all of you guys recruited at the same time is not really good for future operations if all of you guys are also going to retire at the same time, right?
There's different approaches to hiring recruits. A lot of organizations, what they do is they're able to hire firefighters, captains, lieutenants, as the vacancies come open. The way the Guam Fire Department typically hires is through fire recruit academies. Is it a good idea to have back-to-back fire cycles? Sure, as long as we're consistent with that. Because if we're not consistent, then you're going to find a large number of retirees all at the same time, which is what we're seeing now. We do foresee more retirements again next year, large numbers of retirements, and we're going to be seeing that for the next few years. So having back-to-back cycles, yes, it's a good idea. It's always a good idea to hire firefighters.
Okay. Thank you, sir. But that's what I'm trying to avoid, is everyone cycling out while we're cycling in. Because then, you know, the old guys are you know, already tired and beat already. So I'm trying to see how we can make sure you guys are interlocked with each other. That way you guys are not just like dropping out like flies, and then we have all the new guys, quote unquote maggots, right, coming on board and learning everything on call. When you guys who have all the seasoned experience should be helping mediate that issue, right? So I don't know. I'm just putting that out there because I want to see that we don't have everyone cycle out because they're all on the same cycle, and then we have a new cycle that's kind of more fresh. I understand you guys go through numerous trainings. Obviously, I kind of make it because of the pork chop here, but I just wanted to see if that's something that we needed to look at and make sure we don't have any issues. But I guess if it works, it works. If we do have the cycle, does that mitigate you guys' overtime, or does that not help anyway? I'm just saying your overtime because I don't want you guys to, I mean, you guys are still working on overtime, but I know that takes up a lot of your guys' family time and it ages you guys very, you know, I mean, maybe that wasn't the best case scenario to put at you guys, but, you know, what can we do to help better ease that situation with you guys' overtime situation, or do you guys status quo with it? Anybody
You
want to
bring up
answer
a
that?
very good point, Senator, and one of the emerging issues and trends with the fire service nationwide is behavioral wellness and health. You know, the safety of our fire service, having a safety culture, ensuring that behavioral wellness is addressed. So you brought up very good topics, you know, PPEs, maintaining a culture of safety and leadership is one of the challenges and one of the things that we constantly address. And I thank you for bringing those items up.
Okay, thank you. One more question. Regarding your fleets with the rescue units, are those fleets also in the same position? They're getting processed as well, or is that a different area for them? Like rescue unit is the same with you guys with fire trucks, right? You guys buy the same things at the same time, or are they a different operation? Does that make sense?
Procurement is just one area in itself, one section that controls procurement or handles procurement. So any equipment, any emergency response vehicles, whether it be fire truck, ambulances, rescue units, it's all coordinated and done by the administrative services section.
Okay, one more.
But there's no separate funding for, you know, it's not a separate fire department. It's basically just one in itself.
Okay. Do you guys think, yes, Senator Chair, don't worry, I'm almost done, Jesus Christ. Anyways, reserve cycle, reserve fire department, do you guys think that's something that can be looked into, or do you guys support that operation, or no?
Sir, we're open to any avenue for supplementing our force, but unlike like the police reserves, just to outfit one firefighter, it costs a lot of money, and we're trying to maintain getting equipment for our firefighters that are actively in the fire department. What more, getting more equipment for a reserve force? We're open to it as long as the funding is there to support that initiative.
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys again for all the hard work you guys do. Really appreciate it.
Senator, if I can mention something, tomorrow's our hearing for Core 300 TAC 37 is tomorrow, and included in that actually is rescue vehicles for procurement. So if you can come out and support us there tomorrow, that would be great as well.
I'll see if I have time.
So
But I'm
make
just kidding.
make time for
I
us.
have full support for you guys, okay?
Absolutely.
Don't worry, take care.
Well, we look forward to all of you being there.
Nice try, neighbor. In reference to the community project, when they talked about abandoned vehicles and stuff like that, I have a beef on that one because I believe that's DRT's job in EPA. DRT, you're the one who issues permit and license for people doing business. If somebody's got a bunch of cars in front of their house, go and check if they got a license. If they don't got a license, tag them. There are laws that allow them to tag them for that. Find them. And then if they got a bunch of vehicles, EPA should get involved because there's leaking of oil and hazardous material. When you guys get involved, it's because something blew up, caught fire. But I don't believe that should be, it should be your concern, part of the fire prevention. I honestly believe revenue and tax needs to get involved because that's the compliance branch. You go out there and check everybody because when I was there, we did that in Liguan Terrace, and I'm not saying I'm had fun, but we caught a lot of people selling from vehicles to white goods, refrigerators, washers, and dryers. And we told them straight up, if it's not gone within 48 hours, we're coming back to find you. Gosh, the house was cleared. I don't know where they moved it to, probably another village because it wasn't indebted no more. But that's really the catch. No different is when you find tires, these tire repairs on the side of the road. As soon as they move to another location, the tires are still there. And that becomes a fire hazard. Because once that catches fire, you guys are running around like, what happened here? And it should be Department of Revenue and Taxation, EPA, And if they're gonna make the excuse they don't have manpower, well then wake up, because you're not gonna get funding for manpower when you're not doing your inspection. Exactly what Senator Brown asked. Give us the percentage, give us the numbers, so we can back what your request is. Okay, Chief? So we're good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Being that there's no one else to testify or to present any testimony on the budget hearing of the Guam Fire Department, I want to thank everyone for attending this hearing and for providing feedback and suggestion. The Guam Fire Department's budget hearing is now adjourned. The time now is 10:20. Please be safe. Take care. Thank you.